Hello students, this is Taranum Jahan and I hope you people are fine over there. And even I believe that you people are able to understand the slides which are being given to you as a PPTs. You are able to understand the chapters. If there is any query, you can ask there on the YouTube. So here we are going to start with a new chapter from Civics, the Indian Constitution for the class 8. So let's begin with the chapter, the Indian Constitution. So let's begin with the introduction. Constitution. I hope you people are very familiar with this word. This word is not a new one. You have read about the constitution in your previous classes, that is your 6th and 7th standard. You have gone through with this word constitution. What is constitution? It is a written rules and regulation which has been drafted in the written rules and regulation which has been drafted in the constitution that each and every citizen has to follow is called as a constitution. So here, have you ever wondered that who has written this constitution, why we need the constitution, how many years and days it has taken in order to draft this constitution, how many people sat in order to write this constitution? All these things will be discussed under this chapter. The features that we are enjoying today are being written in the constitution. What are those features that are being written in the constitution? How we call it ourselves to be a democratic country? All this will be discussed under this Indian Constitution. So let's begin. Why does a country need constitution? Today most of the countries in the world have a constitution. All the democratic countries, those who have ended up with a monarchical rule, where there is no king's rule now, they are likely to have a constitution now. A country usually made of different communities. If you take the example of India, we are having a different communities, different states, different languages, different beliefs, different festivals. So there are certain beliefs which we don't accept with the other culture. We don't accept with the other religion. There are certain issues we don't accept with the certain religion or certain beliefs. So under such condition where the communities are of different caste, religion and language, certain beliefs are completely different of the people living in the same country. In order to solve that problem, our constitution has agreed upon the basis. The constitution has made the rules in such a way that all the communities of the different religion and caste should agree on it. It has been set up so beautifully that there is no issue regarding any caste, any religion. No one can raise any question regarding the rules and regulation that has been made in the constitution. It is beautifully framed by giving an importance to all the states, giving the importance to all the religion, all the festivals. Each and everything has been taken into a very close consideration while framing the constitution. So why does a country need a constitution? Is just to have a set of balanced rules and regulations so that the constitution works smoothly in the country. There should be no conflict, there should be no issue in the country. Just in order to uh, have these things, the country should not face such problems, the constitutions are framed. So here we'll see the situation in Nepal. Why the situation in Nepal is so important, I'll explain you. As we said in the last slide that all the democratic countries, those who have ended up with a monarchy, will have a constitution. But with the situation in Nepal, here the Nepal was having a monarchy rule. But with the monarchy, they were having the constitution too. So with this, we come to the conclusion that even the undemocratic country was having the constitution, isn't it? So here, what was the problem actually is, though they were having the constitution, but it was written by the king, by the will, whatever the king wanted, whatever the rights or of freedom that king wanted to give to the people, only that was written. So in 1999 they were under the control of complete monarchy till 1999. But these people, they were taking up by the hook or a crook. They just wanted to end up this monarchy. So these people were fighting in order to end up the monarchy. But though they have fought for the several years, but by 2006 they succeeded in order to end up that monarchy. After ending of the monarchy, they started the new constitution. Why they started the new constitution? Why they are not following the previous constitution? Because the previous constitution was not at all as per the need of the people, how they wanted the Nepal to be. That constitution was how the king wanted the Nepal people to be. Now the people want to frame the constitution how they have dreamed about the Nepal. That is the reason why all the people who sat to write the constitution, they started writing the new constitution and completely cancelling the previous constitution. So here we conclude that even the undemocratic countries can have a constitution which can be forcefully followed by the people. They were forced on the people. So here now only the democratic countries will have the constitution which they are happy to follow it. Here it is forcefully following it. So that is the difference. Even the democratic countries and the non-democratic countries can have a constitution, but this is the difference between the constitution. So in your textbook, there's one situation given of the classroom which describes about the misuse of the power. With this example, you will understand how the people can misuse the power if the powers are vested in the hands of the one person. So here the teacher, Mrs. Rao, went for some work from the classroom. She was busy in some work, and she has asked Suresh, who is a monitor of the class, to look after the class. And if anyone talks, to complain me. Might be she has said this. And she left the class. Suresh was monitoring the class and unnecessarily he was pinpointing on Anil that I am going to complain about you to the class teacher when she comes in that you were disturbing the class. The moment when Mrs. Rao enters the class, he, without any reason, this Suresh starts complaining about the Anil, though he has not done anything, that he was shouting in the class and he was disturbing the whole class. And Mrs. Rao believed Suresh because the Suresh is a monitor of the class and he cannot be a liar. So he believed and she started scolding Anil. So this is how the Suresh was misusing his power when it was given by Mrs. Rao in order to monitor the class. So this situation, in order to control this situation, the constitution is having a power to control the powers of the representative what we elect. So the constitution usually provide the safeguard against this. If there is no restriction on the power of the elected representative, then the leader might misuse the power given to them. So how the constitution controls the power of the representative, this we'll discuss now. Our constitution also guides the domination of the majoritism. How it guides? First you understand the example. What is domination and majoritism? So here you can see a scene. A situation has been given in your textbook where some boys and girls are standing. So what kind of a discussion is this? I'll explain you. These people are having a sports period right now. And the teacher is calling for a sports to come and play certain game. But here the majority were the boys. They said that we will play cricket. And the minorities less in number were the girls. They said that we'll play basketball. So the teacher, when she has seen that the majority are the boys and they can form a team, they said that let's play cricket. Again the boys, they pinpointed towards a girl and said that we won because we are having a majority. So here there is a domination. Majority won and the minority who were less in number were dominated. Though they wanted to play a basketball, but because they were a minority one, less in number, their chance did not come, and these boys got the chance in order to play a cricket. So you can see the domination of the majority and minority. Even there you can see the domination of the gender over here. Boys are more and girls are less. That is the reason why even the good teacher has given a chance to the boys, and the girls, they did not get the chance because they were the minorities plus the girl child. So with this situation you can come to the situation, with this you can understand that there is a majoritism domination because they were the majority people. So we can compare this in a rich and poor. If the rich are in majority, they will definitely dominate the poor who are minority in number, less in number. So this kind of a domination was even safeguarded by our constitution. Even the gender discrimination has been safeguarded by our constitution by giving an equality rights. So in this way you can understand this. The same example you can understand with the majoritism plus the gender discrimination. So let's see the key features of Indian Constitution. The beginning of the 20th century, when India was suffering in order to get a freedom from the British rule, and the national movement, the Indian national movement was active during that period, and the freedom struggler was looking for a new India. They were planning and imagining a new India, that how a free India will look like, how we are going to plan that free India. Why these people were dreaming of such a free India during that period? Because during that period, these people were forced to follow the rules which were made by the Britishers. That is the reason why they were dreaming of a new India, that once we get the freedom from the British rule, how beautifully we are going to make India, how we are going to enjoy that freedom. So these people, they started dreaming of the new India. So still it's a dream, we have not achieved it. That is at the time of the beginning of the 20th century. So how we have struggled in order to get a free India, how we have struggled in order to make a constitution, slowly we are going to discuss now. After getting independence from the Britishers, now India started planning the same imagination which they were planning during the period of the beginning of the 20th century. They were planning for the new India. They were planning for writing the rules and regulations which are being accepted by all the people in Indian country so that they can enjoy the freedom. So now the day has come. They started drafting the constitution, but this was not done by one person, but by a group of around 300 people who became the member of the Constituent Assembly. And these people, they sat and they started drafting the constitution, and it took 3 years in order to write the constitution. And who was called as the father of the constitution? Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was known as the father of Indian constitution. These members of the Constituent Assembly had a huge task while preparing the constitution or while drafting the constitution. What was that task? The India country, we, the country of India was made up of several different communities who spoke different languages, they belong to different religion, they have distinct culture. And even during the partition, after the independence, we had a painful partition. Even the partition of the India and Pakistan was an eminent during that period while framing the constitution, and some of the princely states were completely undecided during that period. So all these issues played on the minds of the members while framing the constitution or while drafting the constitution. Then the final document also reflect the concern for removing the poverty, for removing that caste system. The main target of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar while framing the constitution was in order to remove the caste system, which was being suffered by we Indian people during that period. We were having a caste system. So, in order to remove that, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, he urged the scheduled caste to join the government as well as the civil services in order to remove the caste system. He has even made many of the reforms were also running during that period, like women education, widow remarriages. All these reforms were working in whatever the drawbacks were there in India during that period. All these things were considered while framing the constitution. So let's see the key features of the Indian Constitution. The first one is a federalism. Under federalism, we refers to the existence of more than one level of the government. In India, we have more than one level of the government, that is at the central level, state level, and at the local level. Central level, we are having the Prime Minister, state level we are having the Chief Minister, and the local level we are having the Panchayati Raj. Why we have divided this level? India is a very vast country and it is very difficult for one person to sit in the capital New Delhi and control such a vast country. So instead it was decided that it is important to have another level of the government, that is the state government. And again, for the state government, it is very difficult to go and see the each and every villages of that particular state. So for that they have introduced one more level, that is the local government. So each villages will have one Panchayati Raj, and they are answerable towards their own. Panchayati Raj is answerable to their own village, state government is answerable to their own state, and whatever the needs are required by the state will be fulfilled by the state government, that is the Prime Minister, and all the powers are vested in the hands of the central government. Whatever the state and this local government are having the rules and regulations, that are, they have to follow the rules and regulations which are made by the central government, and the central government follow the rules and regulations which are made by the constitution. So here we are having a different level of the government under the control of the constitution, where they cannot act as a dictator and they are answerable to each and everyone at each level. So now let's see the next key feature of the Indian constitution, that is a parliamentary form of government. So in the previous slide we have discussed about the three-tier system of the government. So all these three-tier system consist of one representative which is elected by the people through elections. Now how? Constitution of India guarantees the universal adult franchise, which means that any person, whether it is a man or a woman who has attained the age of 20 or 20 plus, has a right to vote without any discrimination of the caste, gender and religion. By giving the equal rights, the constitution has given the universal adult franchise. Each and every one is having a right to vote, and each vote has their own value. Each vote has a value, whether it is given by any person without any discrimination. This means that the people of India has a direct role in electing their representative, and also every citizen of the country, irrespective of his or her social background, can also contest in elections. These representatives are accountable to the people, they are answerable to the people now. So in this way, this feature of Indian constitution, the parliamentary form of government, has given us a right to vote, that is the universal adult franchise. Let's see the third feature of the Indian constitution, separation of power. In a democracy, powers is shared among the different organs of government such as legislature, executive and judiciary. Now what is the role played by the legislature? It makes the law. Executive, it implements the law. And the judiciary, it checks whether the laws are being followed properly, whether they are not misused by anyone. So here this is called as the horizontal distribution of power sharing, because it allows different organs of the government placed at the same level to exercise unlimited power. Each organ has its own power and it can check the power of the other. So this results in the balance of power among the various institutions. The fourth key feature of the Indian Constitution is fundamental rights. Fundamental rights are the basic human rights which have been guaranteed by the Constitution to all the citizens. They are applied without any discrimination on the basis of race, religion, gender, etc. Fundamental rights are enforceable by the court. Now, why they are called fundamental rights? These rights are called fundamental rights because of the two reasons. They are, first of all, they are guaranteed under the Constitution to all the citizens. They are justiciable, enforceable by the court. In case of the violation, a person can approach the court of law. Now, what are the list of the fundamental rights that have been given to all the citizens? They are right to equality, right to freedom, right against exploitation, right to freedom of religion, cultural and educational rights, right to constitutional remedies. Apart from these fundamental rights, our constitution also provides the directive principles of state policy. So here we'll discuss about the directive principles of state policy. Why apart from the fundamental right, the DPSP has been added in our constitution. This was added in order to give certain importance to the minorities which was completely left out by our Indian society. So in order to provide them the social and economical justice, the DPSP was framed. And this DPSP provides certain rights to this left out section, like the right to educate means of the livelihood to all the citizens, equitable distribution of the material resource to all the citizens in common goods, prevention or the concentration of wealth and the means of production, opportunities of healthy development of the children. And even in the case of unemployment or a old age or a sickness or a disablement, each and everyone is provided with right to work, right to education and right to public assistance. In this way, the minorities' social and economic justice was given to them. Now let's see the fundamental rights one by one, which has been mentioned in our Indian Constitution. The first one is right to equality. Right to equality means that all the persons are equal in the eyes of law, without any discrimination of caste, creed and gender. Each and everyone is having the right to enter the public places like the restaurants or the playgrounds. No one can stop you. Why this was added earlier, we used to discriminate the caste system. We never used to allow the minorities to the public places. So in order to abolish this untouchability, this right was added so that each and everyone should treat each and everyone as equal. All are equal in the eyes of law without any discrimination of caste, creed and gender. Let's see some other fundamental rights that have been guaranteed by the Indian Constitution. The second one is right to freedom. This right includes the freedom of speech, the freedom of expression. It can be in the form of writing, printing, pictures, pamphlets, so you can express your feelings, your speech in any form. Then the right to form associations or the unions, right to move freely and reside anywhere within the limits of your country, and the right to practice any profession or a business. You can take up any occupation in your country. Then the next one is right against exploitation. Right against exploitation prohibits all form of forced labor, child labor, and the trafficking of human being. Child labor is nothing but no child is allowed who is under the age of 14 to do the work as a labor in any field. So all these things have been exploited by giving the right against exploitation. So now the fourth fundamental right that has been guaranteed by the Indian Constitution is right to freedom of religion. Religion is a matter of personal beliefs and values, and that is why choosing a religion is considered as a fundamental right in India under the Act Right to Freedom of Religion. If anyone believes in any particular religion that it does not affect any particularly, you can take up that religion. There are many religion where you can believe in any of the religion and you can take up the new religion and no one can stop you. You have a right to freedom of religion. Now the fifth fundamental right is cultural and educational rights. According to this right, the Constitution specifies the cultural and educational rights of the minorities. Any section of the citizen with a distinct language or a culture have a right to conserve it. Admissions to any educational institution maintained by the government or receiving government aid cannot be denied to any citizen on the ground of religion or language. All the minorities have the right to establish and administer educational institutions of their any choice. Here, minority does not mean only religious minority even at the national level. Now, the sixth and one of the important fundamental rights that have been guaranteed by the Indian Constitution is right to constitutional remedies. According to this right, if any citizen believes that their rights have been violated by the state, they can directly move to the court and they can complain regarding this. So, this right provides that no one can take your fundamental rights. It is the duty of the state that all the fundamental rights should be enjoyed by all the citizens residing in India. And if any of the right has been violated by the state, then the person or the citizens are allowed to move to the court if any of their fundamental rights have been taken away by the state. The last feature of Indian constitution is secularism. Secularism means that a secular state is one in which the state does not officially promote any one religion as a state religion. This means that equal respect and recognition for all the religions by the state should be given. There should be no discrimination by the state on the basis of religion and no interference in the functioning of any religion by the state, and no official religion in India. An individual has a right to practice and propagate and profess any religion. So students, with this we have finished our first chapter from the civics, the Indian Constitution. So hope you people have understood about this.